Part A 1 mark question, Part B 2 mark question, Part C 3 marks questions, and Part D is nothing but 5 marks question. Logic gate is nothing but it is an electronic circuit which operates on one or more input. So scope resolution operator is used to define the member function outside the class definition. Primary key is a key that uniquely identifies each record in a table. Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. I am Rohini TS, lecturer, Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. In this session, we will be discussing about the model paper of 2021 and 2022, which is released by the Karnataka PU Educational Board. So in our today's session, we are going to discuss about the blueprint of each chapter, which is released by the PU board. So that I am going to discuss about the blueprint of second PUC's computer science. Along with that, we will be discussing about the model question paper. Then along with a solution, I will be discussing in my today's session. So let me get into the first thing that is related to the blueprint. So when it comes to the blueprint, as we all know that we have 17 chapters in the second PUC's computer science. So in that you have to neglect a chapter 5. Why? Because it is just a revision of a previous year's, that is first year's syllabus. So no need to worry about the chapter 5. That is just a review of a previous, that means first PUC's whole syllabus. So now we'll see the blueprint of chapter 1 up to chapter 17. So when it comes to the chapter 1, which is that typical configuration of a computer system. Already we know the marks distribution, that is we have a 1 mark question, 2 marks question, 3 marks, 5 marks. So that is chapter number 1, typical configuration of a computer system. So in that you are going to get one question from 1 mark, 2 marks 1 question, 3 marks 1 question, and there is no 5 mark question, and from this chapter totally you can expect 6 marks. And chapter number 2, that is Boolean algebra. So you are going to get 2 questions from 1 mark. That means from this chapter you can expect 2 questions for 1 mark. Then you can expect 1 question from 2 marks, and there will be 1 question from 5 marks. And this chapter 2, which is Boolean algebra, will going to give you totally 9 marks. Then chapter 3, that is logic gates. So in this logic gate, 1 mark 1 question, 2 mark 1 question, and 3 mark 1 question. So totally you are going to get 3 questions from the chapter number 3, and that is totally for 6 marks. Next is high weighted chapter of your second PUC's computer science. So you should not leave this chapter number 4. So you should get thorough with this chapter number 4, that is nothing but data structures. So in this 1 mark 1 question will be there, and 3 mark 1 question will be there, and amazingly 5 marks 3 questions will be there. So totally you are going to get high weighted, that is 19 marks from this chapter. If you get thorough with this chapter 4, that is data structure, then there will be no chance of getting fail in the computer science second PUC examination. So be conscious regarding this chapter number 4. So as I told, 5th chapter is nothing but just a review of C++. So in this you are just going to have a brief revision about the first PUC's computer science whole syllabus. So no need to worry about the marks distribution. There is no questions from chapter 5. So here you can see the chapter number 6, that is OOP concepts or OOPS concepts. So in this you are going to get 1 question, that is for 1 mark, then 5 mark 1 question will be there. So totally it will be for 6 marks. We'll see the chapter number 7, that is classes and objects. So from this chapter you have to concentrate on 1 mark question, so that you are going to get 2 questions in the part A, that is in the section of 1 mark question, and you are going to get 1 5 mark question, and totally you will be getting 2 questions from the chapter number 7, and that will be for 7 marks. Then chapter number 8, that is function overloading. So no 1 mark question, you are going to get 1 2 mark question and 1 5 mark question, and totally 2 questions from this chapter, and it will be for 7 marks. Next, constructors and destructors. So in this chapter, you need to concentrate on 1 question, That is, you are going to get one question for 1 mark, then 2 mark 1 question will be there, then 5 mark 1 question. So totally you are going to get 3 questions and that will be for 8 marks. Then chapter number 10, that is inheritance. So in that you need to concentrate only on 3 and 5 mark question. So for that 3 mark 1 question will be there and then 5 mark 1 question will be there. Totally 2 questions, that is for 8 marks. Next we have a chapter number 11, that is pointers. So in this you need to concentrate on part A, B as well as C. No need to worry about the 5 mark question. So that 1 mark 1 question, 2 marks 1 question and 3 marks 1 question. No 5 mark question, and this will going to give you 6 marks from this chapter. And 12th chapter, that is data file handling. You need to concentrate on 2 mark 3 mark question. No 1 and 5 mark question from this chapter 12, that is data file handling. So that 2 marks 1 question, 3 marks 1 question, and totally you are going to get 5 marks from this data file handling. So we'll see the next topic, that is database concept, which is chapter number 13. So here also you can expect high marks which is greater than 10. If you are concentrating on the chapter which is giving you more than 10 marks, then there will be a high chance of getting 70 on 70 on computer science. So don't leave any chapter which is giving you more than 10 marks. So we'll see the chapter number 13, that is database concept. So you are going to get 2 questions, that is in the part A. 1 marks 2 questions will be there and 2 mark 1 question. Then you are going to get 5 marks 2 question. That is totally you are going to get 14 marks from this chapter. We'll see the next chapter, that is chapter number 14, SQL command. So in this you need to concentrate on 3 and 5 mark question. Here also you are going to get a chance to score 13, that is more than 10 marks in this chapter. So that is 3 mark 1 question, then 5 marks 2 questions. So totally you can expect 3 questions and that is for 13 marks. Next topic, that is networking concept. Chapter number 15, networking concept. In this 1 mark 1 question, no 2 mark question, 1 3 marks question and 1 5 mark question. So totally you are going to get 3 questions and that is for 9 marks. We'll see the next chapter, that is chapter number 16, internet and open source concept. So in this you are going to get 1 mark 1 question, 2 marks 1 question and 3 marks 1 question and no 5 mark question, and totally you will be getting 3 questions from this chapter and that too for 6 marks. So at last we have a chapter number 17, which is web designing. So in this chapter you need to concentrate on 1 mark question. So 1 mark 1 question will be there, 2 mark 1 question and 3 marks 1 question, no 5 mark question. So totally you will be getting 3 questions from this last chapter and that too for 6 marks. So I hope you all understood the marks distribution of each chapter. And here you can see that, so from the part A, 15 questions and that will be for 15 marks, and part B completely is for 20 marks, part C completely is for 30 marks and part D completely it is for 75, and the paper has been set for 135 marks, but you have to answer only for 70 marks. So here you can see that this is just a blueprint or how the question paper will be. That means what is part A consist of, what is the number of questions has been said and how many questions are we supposed to answer, and what is regarding part B, C and D. So already we know the structure of a second PUC's computer science paper. So that is what you can see here. Totally we have 4 parts. One is part A that carries 1 mark question, and part B that carries 2 mark question, part C that carries 3 marks question and part D that carries 5 marks question. So here you can see that part A 1 mark question. So if you consider the particular this year's model question paper, the pattern has been changed. So in that they have given the question, that means 15 question has been given in the 1 mark question. So this will make sure you that it will going to help you out in order to score 70 on 70. So that there will be 15 questions in 1 mark question, but you need to answer any 10 out of 15 and you are going to get 10 marks for that. Then we have a part B, that is 2 marks question. Here also there will be 10 questions. Out of 10 questions, you need to answer any 5. Part B will going to give you 10 marks. Next we have a part C, that is related to 3 marks questions. There will be 10 questions. Out of 10 questions, you need to answer any 5 and totally it will going to get you 15 marks. So next we have a part D, that is 5 marks question. So in this totally 14 questions will going to be given. Out of 14, you have to answer any 7. 7 into 5, that is 35 marks. So totally there will be 49 questions in the second PUC's model paper. So that you need to answer only 27. So that will going to help you out in order to get 70 marks. So here you can see the model question paper which is released by the Karnataka Pre-University Educational Board, that is from the Karnataka PU board. So as we all know that this is totally has been set for 70 marks. So from this theory part you are going to get 70 marks and this question paper has been set for 3 hours 15 minutes and that means time duration is will going to be given is 3 hours 15 minutes and number of questions will be 49. Then how many part it will going to have? So it has 4 parts. Part A 1 mark question, part B 2 mark question, part C 3 marks questions and part D is nothing but 5 marks question. So here we have listed out the question. This is what the actual question paper which has been released by the Karnataka PU board. So that you can see here. So this is just a model paper which is released by the PU board. So for this model paper, today we will be discussing about the solution of each question and each part. That means part A, B, C, D. Every part will going to be discussed in our session. So that this is related to part B, which is 2 mark question. There will be 10 questions. Out of 10 questions, you need to answer any 5 questions. And this is related to part C. This is related to 3 marks question. So out of this, you need to answer any 5. So totally 10 questions will be there. Out of 10, you need to answer any 5. So 3 into 5, it will be for 15 marks. And next we have a part D, most high weighted part. That is part D. It is for 5 mark question. Totally it consists of 14 questions, but you need to answer any 7 out of this. So this is regarding blueprint and model question paper which is released by the PU board. I hope now you don't have any of the doubts regarding the blueprint and the model question paper. The number of questions will going to be given and the number of answer, that means so what are the number of questions that needs to be answered. Everything is clear now. So without wasting much time, we'll get into the today's session, that is regarding solution of each question as per the model question paper. So let me discuss about the part A first. So in this part A, as we all know that it is going to carry 15 questions. Out of 15 questions, we need to answer any 10. So that is what we are going to discuss in this slide. That is answer any 10 question. Answer any 10 question and each question carries 1 mark. So this is all related to 1 mark question. So 1 into 10, totally it will going to give. That means part A will going to give you 10 marks. So what is the first question? That is, what is microprocessor? So as we all know that what is microprocessor? So it is just a tiny chip which will going to hold the computation part, entire computation part within it. So that is what microprocessor is all about. So microprocessor, it is an electronic component. It is a single integrated circuit, that is nothing but IC chip. It is a tiny chip which will going to contain the complete computation engine within it. So this examples of microprocessor are what? Intel, AMD and Celeron. So this is just a additional information for the sake of you students. So you just need to write what is microprocessor. We'll move to the second question, that is, give the other name of Boolean algebra. What is the Boolean algebra deals with? So it deals with zeros and ones. So that we can also call this Boolean algebra as a binary algebra and it can also be considered as a switching algebra. What is the right answer then? It is considered as switching algebra or binary algebra. We'll see the question number 3, that is, define truth valued variable. So as we all know that in the chapter 2, So Boolean algebra, you are going to get 2 questions in the part A, that is 1 mark question. So this is the second question that we are getting in the Boolean algebra chapter itself. So here we need to define what is truth valued variable. So as we all know that variable will going to hold some values. When that variable holding either true or false value, then that kind of variable will be considered as what? Truth valued variable. So we know Boolean algebra, switching algebra or binary algebra deals with zeros and ones. So if it is a 0, that is false. If it is 1, that is true. So that is what we are going to call that particular value or a variable which is holding that kind of values will be considered as what? Truth valued variable. That is what you can see here. The truth values are depicted by logical constant, true or false. The variables which can store these truth values, that means either true or false, the variable which is holding that values will be considered as what? Truth valued variable or binary valued variable. And you can also expect what is the binary valued variable, that is also same as what? This truth valued variable itself. We'll see the next question. Fourth one, that is what is logic gate. What is logic gate? It is nothing but it is a electronic circuits which will going to operate on one or more input signals, but it will going to produce the output signal always. So logic gate is nothing but it is an electronic circuit which operates on one or more input. We have to give one or more input signal. So we have to give either 2 or more input signal. Based on that signal, it will going to do the operation and at last it will going to produce an output signal. So all these signals will be in the terms of zeros and ones. If it is 0, that is related to false. If it is 1, that is related to true. We'll see the question number 5. Give an example for primitive data structure. So already we know the classification of a data structure, primitive, non-primitive. In the non-primitive we have a linear, non-linear. But what they are asking in the question number 5, we have to give any one example for primitive data structure. Here I have listed out number of example for primitive data structure. Out of this you can write any 2. So what it consists of, we have an integer, int data type, and real, that is also called as float, and we have a logical data, and we have a character data, and we have pointer and reference which comes under the category called primitive data structure. We'll see the question number 6. Define object oriented programming. What is OOP? So what it consists of? So as we all know that it is a basic building block for the modular approach. So we are going to use this OOP or object oriented programming as the principle of design and development of programs. We are going to use this object oriented programming as a principle for the design and development of a program which will going to follow modular approach. That is, we should not consider any problem as a single unit. It needs to be divided into number of modules. Or else we can also write one more definition, that is object oriented programming is a concept that combines both data and functions together, and that will going to operate on that data into a single unit will be termed as object. So if I am operating on both data and functions together, then we are going to call that methodology as what? Object oriented programming. We'll see the next question, that is question number 7. What is the use of scope resolution operator? What is scope resolution operator? Where we are going to use this scope resolution operator, that is double colon. Okay. What is the use? So you just recall where we are going to use this scope resolution operator, that too in the terms of class. In the class we have a data members and member function, but when I wanted to access the member function outside the class definition, when I wanted to define, so we know that member function can be defined either inside the class or outside the class. When I wanted to define it outside the class definition, then I require this scope resolution operator. So this will going to creates or it will going to binds the connection between the member function which belongs to a particular class. That is what the reason of having this scope resolution operator. So scope resolution operator is used to define the member function outside the class definition. So when I wanted to define the member function outside the class definition, then we have to use this scope resolution operator. We'll see the next question. Question number 8. What is the use of member function in a class? So as I discussed in the previous slide, we have a data members and member function in a class. So if I consider this remote and all, so I can consider this as an object and it will going to hold data members and a member function. That means data member is nothing but its characteristics or what are the attributes that it has, okay, and member function is nothing but what are the operations I can perform, like what are the operation can be performed by this object and what are its behavior. That is nothing but what? Member function that defines the operation that will going to perform. So here what is the question? What is the use of having this member function in a class? In a class I have a data member and member function. But when did I declare this data members in terms of private and public, then we can't access that private data members outside the class definition. But if I am a member of that class or if I am a member function of that particular class, then I have a privilege to access that data members. That is what the reason of having this member function in a class. So the member functions are behavior of a class and that can access or manipulate the data member without passing any arguments or parameter. So I can access the member function of this particular object. So it has a data member and member function. If I am a member function of this particular class, then I should not take any permission to work with this data member function which belongs to the same class itself. So that is what the reason of having this member function in a class. So either you can write another way of writing the answer for this one. The member function in a class is used to access private and protected members of a class. So when I wanted to use or when I wanted to access this private and protected members, that is data members of a class, then we are going to use this member function in a class. We'll see the question number 9. Which symbol is used for a destructor function? So we know that destructor is nothing but what? For deallocation of memory. So we are going to use destructor in order to deallocation of memory which is allocated by the constructor. So we are going to use this tilde symbol in order to represent the destructor function. So if I am writing any function called ABC which has same name as of the class, so this will be considered as what? Destructor. If I am just writing ABC which is same as the name of a class, then it will be constructor. If it is having a tilde symbol preceded by this class name with a semicolon, will be termed as what? Destructor function. So we are going to use tilde symbol. This is how we are supposed to specify. Question number 10, that is give the syntax for a pointer declaration. How we are going to do the pointer declaration? As we all know that pointer is a variable. For example, if I wanted to declare any of the variable, you just consider, I just wanted to have one variable called A which is of the data type integer. Okay, what I can say for this, I have a semicolon at last that indicates the termination of a declaration. So here int A. So A is the name of a variable and its data type is integer. That means this A has a capability to hold integer kind of data. When I'm having this pointer variables, so when I wanted to declare this pointer variables, same thing we have to do. Along with that, I need to specify asterisk symbol that specifies the pointer variable. So that we need to specify the data type and put asterisk symbol. Then you can give any name for the pointer variable and don't forget to give the semicolon at the end. Data type, asterisk symbol, and you need to specify any pointer variable and then semicolon. We'll see the next question, that is question number 11. Define tuple in a database. So when you are answering any kind of question, you have to analyze, do we have any other alternative name for any of the word in the computer terms? So here why I am saying all those things, tuple that as a alias name that has a alternative name. The tuple is also called as record or a row in a table. So then what do you mean by this tuple in a database? So a single entry in a table is called a tuple or a record. So if I consider this as a table, so that consists of what? Rows and columns, and each row will be termed as record or a tuple in the database. So that is what you have to write. A single entry in a table is called as record or a tuple. We'll see the next question. Question number 12. What is primary key? So we know that we have several kinds of key, that is primary key, foreign key, candidate key. But here what is primary key? So primary key is a key that uniquely identifies each record in a table. So the key or a value which will going to help us in order to uniquely identify the each record in a table is termed as what? Primary key. We'll see the next question. Question number 13. So define simplex communication mode. So what is this simplex communication mode is all about? So we have, in order to have a communication, we require a sender and a receiver. If sender has the ability only to send and if a receiver has the ability only to receive, then that kind of communication will be termed as what? Simplex communication mode. Sender and his work is only to send. Receiver and his work only to receive. So for example, you can take the TV, radio. So there only sender will going to send the values and receiver will going to receive the values. So that is in simplex mode, the communication between the sender and the receiver occurs only in one direction. So that is one-way communication. That kind of transmission mode is termed as what? Simplex communication mode. We'll see the next question. Question number 14. What is free software? So set of instruction is termed as software. Then what is free software? As the name indicates, free is nothing but in the terms of cost, in the terms of money. So no need to pay anything. So that free software is a software that is freely accessible and can be freely used. It can be freely changed. It can be improved and it can be copied and can be distributed by all. There is no restriction of accessing, changing and improving or copying and sharing with others. So that kind of software will be termed as what? Free software. We'll see the last question in the part A, that is 15th question. What is the use of HTML? First you just recall what is HTML? Hypertext Markup Language. So what is the use of having this? So it is just like a mother tongue for the web pages. So what are the commands we are supposed to give, or if I wanted to create any of the web pages, that web pages only understand this HTML scripting language. So HTMLs are mainly used to make or to create websites. So the websites are nothing but what? It is the collection of web pages. So website, in order to make a website or in order to have a collection of web pages, we are going to have this HTML. I hope you all got to know the answer from part A, that is 1 to 15 questions. So we'll move on to the part B, that is 2 marks question. So in this part B, you need to answer any 5 questions. So you need to answer any 5 questions and each questions will going to carry 2 marks for that. So that 2 into 5 will be totally 10 marks. So we'll see the question number 16. So in this first question, you are going to get it from chapter 1. So what is the question? Expand the terms SDRAM and DDR-RAM. What is SD stands for here? Synchronous, dynamic and RAM, random access memory. So dear students, when you are answering for the abbreviations or an expansion, don't forget to write the first character of a word in a capital case or a camel case. So that is what? S stands for synchronous, dynamic, random access and we have a memory. Okay. So next, what about this DDR-RAM? Double data rate random access memory. Just don't think that I can write only RAM. Even for that also it will going to carry marks. So while answering for the abbreviation, each character you need to expand. So SDRAM, synchronous dynamic random access memory, and DDR-RAM, double data rate random access memory. We'll see the next question, 17. Prove that x plus xy is equal to x. So when you are getting these kind of questions, already it has been informed that you have to concentrate on all the laws in the Boolean algebra. So you have to concentrate on all the theorems or laws in the Boolean algebra. So when you are getting these kind of question, first you have to analyze it belongs to which law. So when I am having this question, I must be able to say that this is nothing but absorption law. This is absorption law. So what we are supposed to prove here, x plus xy is equal to x. So I'm just going to take the LHS. We have a LHS and we have a RHS. So by taking LHS, I need to prove the RHS so that it will be evaluated. So we'll see the LHS now, x plus xy, x plus xy. So we are going to take the common x. So then one x will be common, 1 plus y. Then so as we all know that as per the rules, 1 plus y is nothing but 1. So if you are giving a value for y, that is either 0 or 1, it will going to give us 1 itself. So that here what we are going to do, x dot 1. This parenthesis is nothing but multiplication symbol. So if it is converted into symbol x dot 1. So 1 plus y is nothing but 1. That is what the reason. Instead of this 1 plus y, we are taking that as a x point 1. That is x into 1. So when I am multiplying this x into 1, again it will going to give me x only. Okay. So that means we have proved LHS to RHS. This is related to what? Absorption law. We'll see the next question. That is question number 18. Give the logic symbol and working of AND gate. What is the reason of having this AND gate? So as we all know that AND gate is a basic gate. So this is mainly will going to work with the logical multiplication. And if all the signals are, all the input signals are high, then only it will going to give the resultant as high. If any one of the signal is low, then the resultant will be low. That line you have to write. So here the AND gate has 2 or more input signal but produces only one output signal. Then what is the logical symbol in order to represent this AND gate? So mention, dear student, whether you are writing 2 input AND gate or a 3 input AND gate. So when you are writing 2 input AND gate, how it will be? I am going to have 2 input called A and B. So what it will going to yield? That is A point B. You just consider I am going to take 3 input data signals. So let me consider that as A, B and C. What it will going to produce? So let me consider the final value as F is equal to A into B into C. So this is how the 3 input AND gate will look like. So for that we have to write the truth table. What did I told? So if both the signals or if all the input signals are high, then only it will going to produce the high signal as a result. If any one of the signal is low, then the resultant will be low itself. That is related to what? AND gate. This is what you have to write. So don't forget to write this truth table along with the logical symbol and what is this AND gate is all about, and you should not miss this dot. So AND is nothing but that is related to logical multiplication. It is related to logical multiplication. So we'll see the next question. Question number 19. What is the need of having this function overloading? That means you have to write what is the need or use of having this function overloading. So as we all know that function overloading is nothing but what? When a 2 or more function having the same name but differs in the terms of number of arguments and type of arguments, then we are going to call that as a function overloading. So what it means then? What is the need of having this function overloading? When I wanted to use the same function name for more than one function, but I need the parameters and its data type needs to be different. In that situation, we are going to have this function overloading. So what are its benefits of having this function overloading? Code execution will be faster. So code executed will going to be faster. It is easier to understand the flow of information. Everything is like a function. It is only a set of statement. If there is any error, then I need to check only with the particular set of statements, so that debugging is also easy. And one more reason, code maintenance is easy and easier interface between the programs and the real world object. So this is what the reason of having this function overloading. So what are the needs? Code execution is faster, easy for debugging, code maintenance is easy, and easier interface between the programs and real world object. We'll see the next question. Question number 20. Give any two advantages of parameterized constructor. So as we all know that constructor is nothing but it is a special member function. So we are going to use that constructor in order to initialize the data members of a class. So when I'm having this constructor, when the constructor has a parameter or argument within it, then we are going to term that as a parameterized constructor. Then what is the advantages of having this parameterized constructor? It can be overloaded. So when I have a parameter, when I have an argument, then only it can be overloaded. Then what is the first advantage? The parameterized constructor can be overloaded. So when I'm calling a function, we have a calling function and called function. So when the number of arguments are matching with my calling function, then only called function will going to be triggered or operation will going to be takes place. So here also for an object created with one argument, constructor with only one argument is invoked and executed. That means number of the parameter matches, then only it will going to be invoked and executed. Then the parameterized constructor can have default arguments and default values. So when I'm having this parameterized constructor, we can have the default values and default arguments or a parameter. So these are the advantages that you have to mention for this question. We'll see the next one, that is give any two difference between static and dynamic memory allocation. Here we have listed out several difference between static allocation of memory and dynamic allocation of memory. So when it comes to the static allocation of memory, memory allocation will going to be takes place before the execution of a program. That is, before the program will going to be executed, the memory will going to be allocated. For when it comes to the dynamic memory allocation, the execution or a memory space is will going to be allocated during the execution of a program. What is the next one? Memory space allocated is fixed. Once it is allocated, then we can't do the changes. But here, as the name indicates, it is dynamic in nature. If I wanted to change the memory space allocated, then it is not fixed. We can do the reframing of the memory allocation. Here, more memory space is required, and here we require a less memory space. And here, memory allocation from stack area. And for dynamic memory allocation will going to take place from heap area. So out of these four differences, you can write any two differences for static and dynamic allocation of a memory. So we'll see the next question. Question number 22, that is differentiate between text file and a binary file. So as we all know that file is nothing but it is a collection of bytes or a stream of bytes that will going to have text, images, characters, number, anything could be the data. What kinds of files we have? We have two types of files. One is text file and another one is binary file. As we all know that computer understands only zeros and ones. So when it comes to the text file, it will going to have the data or it will going to store the information in the ASCII character, that is American Standard Code for Information Interchange. So within that manner, it will going to store all the data which is resides in a particular file, that is of the type text file. But here, what about this binary file? It will going to have a stored information or a data which will going to be stored as same as the format which is held in the memory. That means it will going to hold the data and values in the terms of zeros and ones. What is the next difference? Each line of text is terminated by a special character known as end of line, that is EOL or any delimiter. For example, if I am using NDL \n. So if I wanted to differentiate one line with another line, then I have to use all these delimiters. But that is not in the case of binary file. So in the binary file, no delimiters are used for a line. Everything will going to be carried in terms of zeros and ones. What is the next difference, translation is required. Why translation is required in a text file? How the data has been stored in the text file? It will be in the form of ASCII. But computer can understand ASCII? No. So ASCII code will going to have a specific values for each character, each symbols in a keyboard. But when I wanted to have something, or when I wanted to do some calculation with the computer system, it has to be deal with the zeros and ones. So that I need to translate the information which is in the ASCII in the terms of zeros and ones. But that is not in the case of binary file, because no translation is occurs here. Why? Because it is already in the form of zeros and ones. Computer can easily understand. No translation is required in the binary file. So here I have listed out 3 differences. You can write it in tabular form, or else you can write it in this manner also. But when you are writing a first line of a answer, that must reflects with the first line of another difference. So then only you are going to get the marks. So this is how the difference between text file as well as the binary file. We'll see the next question, that is question number 23. Define data and information. What is data? What is information? So here data can be anything. So data is a collection of facts, figures, statistics which can be processed to produce meaningful information. It is a raw fact. It needs to be processed in order to yield the meaningful information. So here, then what is information? It is a processed data with some definite meaning. For example, if I am writing age or if I am writing param, then there is no meaning. What is this 18? So whether it is the date of birth or its age or its what door number, I couldn't understand anything. What is this param? Is this a system name or a boy name? That we don't know. But this is what I can consider this as a data. But if I am going to write employee name is equal to param and age is equal to 18. So what it means? It has some specific meaning. Then I can call this as a information. This is what the difference between, or this is what the definition of this data as well as the information. We'll see the next question, that is question number 24. What is web browser? Give an example. Dear student, when you are answering any either 2-mark or a 3-mark question, you have to observe one thing. So for example, what is web browser? Question mark. Then give an example. So we are dealing with 2-mark question. So what you are supposed to understand here? So when I am having a question mark, that means that this question is meant for 1 marks and remaining thing is meant for another 1 marks. So if you fail to write any one of these, you are going to lose 1 mark. So that what is web browser is 1 marks, and if you are giving an example for that web browser, then that will going to get you 1 marks. This is what you have to understand. So then what is web browser? As we all know that if I wanted to access any content over the www or over the internet, then we require this web browser. Browser is nothing but it is an application software that will help us in order to access the content of www or over the internet. This is web browser is a www client that navigates through the World Wide Web and displays web pages. So in order to display the web pages or in order to fetch the content of www or over the internet, then we require a application software that is nothing but web browser. By using which web browser you are going to yield some of the you are going to get information or a data. So this is so simple. We are going to use Internet Explorer, we have a Firefox, we have a Netscape, Google Chrome, and we have a Opera, Bing. These are all the examples which comes under the category of this web browser. We'll see the next question, question number 25, and this is the last question in the part B. So, give the general structure of HTML program. How the HTML program looked like. So, you have to write a complete structure. We have to mention a tags between the angular bracket. So what is the first tag? That is HTML. Within the HTML we have a head. So within the head I have to write a title. So that document header related tags will be written in this title, and I need to close this title. So if I wanted to close any of the tag, how we are going to do that? You just write angular bracket, then write forward slash. Most of the student will going to use backward slash instead of this forward slash. So this backward slash is wrong thing. So be conscious when you are closing any of the tag, it needs to be preceded by forward slash and name of a tag, then you have to close the angular bracket. What the reason of having this end of the any of the kind of tags? So here we are going to close the title. Whatever we are going to write in this title will going to be appeared in the title of a web page. Then we have to close this head. So after that I need to close head. HTML. So within the HTML we must have a body. So how the web page must look like, what are the designs or what are the things that I wanted to do with the web pages will going to be done with this body tag, between the body tags. So body, there we are going to write the document which is related to the body tag. Then we have to close the body tag. At last we have to close the root tag called HTML, that is slash HTML. So this is the general structure of a HTML program. I hope you all understood with all the questions and it is clear for you in order to get high score in the computer science. I hope you all enjoyed this session. Let me meet you in the next session with part C as well as the part C question along with a solution. Until that, keep learning, keep on watching. Thank you.